Imaging finding a rare coin so rare it could pay off your house today, we're diving into 10 of the most valuable US coins ever found. Real coins worth hundreds and even millions of dollars or more. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss the next rare find. Let's start this.
What if I told you that a simple penny, a humble 1-cent coin, the kind most people toss into a jar or leave in their car cup holder, could quietly be worth hundreds, even thousands of dollars today? Not a gold coin. Not a silver dollar. Just a 1967 Lincoln penny. And not even a rare-looking one. No flashy mint mark. No dramatic design change. Just a small copper disc that millions ignored, but here's the twist. In 1967, something unusual happened in American coinage history. And if you understand what to look for, that ordinary penny in your pocket change could become the key to a serious payday. Today, we're diving deep into the 1967 no-mint mark Lincoln 1-cent penny, exploring the hidden errors, the high-demand varieties, and the maximum market values collectors are aggressively chasing right now. If you are between 30 and 65, living in the United States, and you've ever wondered how to sell old rare coins, how to make money from coins, or how to turn pocket change into real wealth, this video is for you. Stay with me. Because by the end, you may never look at a penny the same way again. Let's go back to 1967. The United States was in the middle of economic transition. Silver had just been removed from circulating coinage in 1965. Coin shortages were everywhere. And the United States Mint made a bold decision. From 1965 through 1967, mint marks were removed entirely from all coins to discourage collectors from hoarding newly struck pieces. That's right. In 1967, there were no mint marks on any Lincoln cents. Not Philadelphia. Not Denver. Not San Francisco. All of them were struck without mint marks. Now here's where most people make a mistake. They assume that because every 1967 penny has no mint mark, that means they're all common and worthless. That assumption has cost people thousands of dollars. The 1967 Lincoln Cent belongs to the iconic Lincoln Cent series, first introduced in 1909. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the coin features the portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, a design that ran from 1959 through 2008. The 1967 penny was struck in massive numbers. Over 3 billion were minted. That sounds discouraging, doesn't it? 3 billion. How could something so common be valuable? Here's the answer. Not all pennies are created equal. And not all errors are obvious. Act 1 is about awareness. Most Americans have jars of pennies sitting somewhere in their homes. Kitchen drawers. Basement boxes. Old piggy banks. Have you checked yours recently? When was the last time you actually looked at the dates? Now imagine this. Somewhere in those jars could be a 1967 penny struck with a dramatic double die error. Or a major off-center strike. Or a clipped planchet. Or even a rare transitional anomaly with exceptional strike quality and mint luster. Collectors today are paying strong money for high-grade examples of the 1967 Lincoln Cent, especially those graded MS-66, MS-67, and higher by respected grading services. In pristine mint state condition, a 1967 penny can sell for hundreds of dollars. And in exceptional top-pop condition, auction prices have climbed into the thousands, but that's just the beginning. Let's talk about errors. Because errors are where excitement turns into opportunity. Point 1 of the most sought-after varieties is the 1967 double die obverse. Under magnification, you can see noticeable doubling in the lettering, particularly in Liberty and In God We Trust. To the untrained eye, it might look slightly blurry. To a collector, it looks like profit. There are also 1967 pennies struck off-center. Some by 5%. Some by 10%. Some dramatically off by 50% or more while still showing a full date. Those coins can command serious premiums, especially when the date is visible, and then there are die cracks, cuts, and striking anomalies that create unique patterns on the coin's surface. Each error tells a story of mechanical imperfection at the mint. Each one is different. And collectors love uniqueness. Now pause for a moment and ask yourself. Have you ever examined your 1967 pennies under a magnifying glass? Or did you assume they were all just 1 cent? What if one coin could pay for a vacation? What if a handful of coins could fund an investment? What if the change sitting in your car right now contains hidden equity? That's not fantasy. That's market reality. Act 2 is about opportunity and urgency. The demand for rare coins has been growing steadily. Online auctions, coin shows, and private collectors are constantly searching for quality examples. Many collectors who grew up with Lincoln Cents feel nostalgic. They want pristine examples from the 1960s. They want errors that stand out. They want coins graded and authenticated, and here's the key question you might be asking right now. How do I sell old rare coins? How do I know if my 1967 penny is valuable? How do I make money from coins? How do I sell old and rare coins in the USA and understand their value in auction shops? First, condition is king. A worn 1967 penny with heavy circulation marks may only be worth face value unless it has a clear error. But a brilliant red, uncirculated coin with sharp details and no scratches can be worth dramatically more. Second, authentication matters. Professional grading companies evaluate coins for authenticity and condition. Once encapsulated in a graded holder, your coin becomes more attractive to serious buyers. Third, exposure determines price. Selling to a local pawn shop may not get you maximum value. Auction platforms, reputable coin dealers, and established auction houses can connect your coin to competitive bidders, and here's something crucial. Timing matters. The coin market moves in cycles. As more people become aware of valuable modern-era coins, demand increases. Scarcity at high grades becomes more pronounced. That pushes prices upward. Let me ask you something slightly uncomfortable. How many times have you spent a penny without even looking at it? How many opportunities have slipped through your fingers simply because you didn't know what to look for? This is not about gambling. This is about education. There are documented cases of high-grade 1967 Lincoln Cents selling for well over $1,000 in certified condition. Exceptional examples with strong red coloration and flawless surfaces are highly sought after. Error coins with dramatic visual appeal can bring even more, depending on rarity and eye appeal. Now imagine this scenario. You search your old collection tonight. You find 5 rolls of 1967 pennies saved by a relative decades ago. Most are average. But one stands out. Brilliant red. Sharp strike. Clean surfaces. You send it for grading. It comes back in a top-tier mint state grade. Suddenly, that 1-cent coin becomes a serious asset, from pocket change to potential thousands. And here's a quick pattern interrupt for you. If pennies were truly worthless, why are collectors paying 4 figures for the right one? Exactly. Act 3 is transformation. This isn't just about a 1967 penny. It's about a mindset shift. It's about seeing value where others see none. It's about recognizing that wealth often hides in plain sight. Many viewers ask, how do I start selling coins? Start by organizing your collection. Separate coins by year. Look for key dates. Examine condition under good lighting. Invest in a magnifying glass. Research recent auction results. Compare similar grades, then ask, where do I sell? Reputable coin shops can provide evaluations. Coin shows allow you to meet multiple dealers. Online auction platforms connect you to national buyers. Major auction houses can handle high-value certified pieces. We are diving deep into a coin that many Americans have overlooked for decades, the 1973 no-mint Mark Lincoln 1-cent penny from the United States of America. At first glance, it looks ordinary. But as every serious collector knows, ordinary coins can hide extraordinary value. The 1973 Lincoln penny was struck during a fascinating era in American history. The nation was adjusting to economic shifts, inflation was rising, and everyday Americans were feeling the pressure. Yet quietly, at the Philadelphia Mint, millions of Lincoln Cents were being produced for circulation. Most people spent them without a second thought. But what if one of those coins, possibly sitting in a jar, a drawer, or an old piggy bank, holds surprising value today? This coin features the iconic portrait of President Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner. The obverse shows Lincoln's profile facing right, along with the words, "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and the date 1973. If your coin has no mint mark beneath the date, that means it was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. During that time, Philadelphia coins typically did not carry a mint mark, which makes identifying this detail extremely important. On the reverse, you'll see the Lincoln Memorial design, introduced in 1959 to honor the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. The words, "United States of America, e pluribus unum," and "1 cent" frame the design. At first glance, it looks like every other memorial cent produced between 1959 and 2008. But the true value lies in condition, rarity, and potential errors. The 1973 no mint mark Lincoln penny was struck in large numbers. Over 3 billion coins were produced at Philadelphia that year. Because of this high mintage, most circulated examples are only worth a few cents above face value. But here's where it gets interesting. When we step into the world of high-grade uncirculated coins and rare mint errors, the story changes dramatically. Condition is everything in coin collecting. A 1973 penny that has been heavily circulated, with scratches, dull color, and worn details, will not command much premium. However, if you find one in brilliant uncirculated condition, with strong red luster and sharp details, you may be holding something special. Collectors pay a premium for coins graded MS65, MS66, and above by professional grading services such as PCGS or NGC. Red copper color plays a major role. Copper cents naturally darken over time. A fully red example from 1973, preserved in pristine condition for more than 50 years, is much scarcer than you might think. Coins designated as RD for red by grading services are highly sought after. Even small differences in surface quality can mean huge differences in value. Now let's talk about errors, because this is where life-changing money can enter the picture. The 1973 no mint mark penny is known to have several types of mint errors that collectors actively hunt for. One of the most exciting is the double die error. This occurs when the coin die receives a misaligned impression during production, creating a noticeable doubling effect on letters or numbers. On a genuine double die 1973 penny, you may see strong doubling on the date or the inscriptions like "Liberty" or "In God We Trust." Not machine doubling, which looks flat and shelf-like, but true hub doubling with clear separation. Another valuable error is an off-center strike. If the coin was not properly aligned during minting, part of the design may be missing. The more dramatic the off-center strike, while still showing a visible date, the more collectors are willing to pay. There are also broad strike errors, where the coin was struck without the collar die, causing it to spread wider than normal. Clipped planchets, where a portion of the coin is missing due to a cutting error, can also command impressive premiums. And then there are transitional metal errors or wrong planchet strikes. Although rare, if a 1973 penny was mistakenly struck on a planchet intended for another denomination, its value could skyrocket. These are extremely scarce and must be authenticated by professionals. Let's not forget about high-grade examples with exceptional eye appeal. A 1973 no mint mark penny graded MS67 red is a condition rarity. Only a limited number have achieved such lofty grades because copper is extremely sensitive to marks and environmental damage. The difference between MS66 and MS67 can mean thousands of dollars. Many people underestimate how hard it is for a coin to survive in perfect condition for 5 decades. Most were tossed into cash registers, dropped onto counters, and stored loosely in jars. That's why pristine examples are treasures in the numismatic community. If you're serious about discovering whether your 1973 penny has significant value, you need to examine it carefully. Start by checking for the absence of a mint mark under the date. Then inspect the surface under magnification. Look for sharp details in Lincoln's hair and beard. Check for vibrant red color. Examine the lettering for signs of doubling. Weigh the coin if possible, a standard 1973 copper penny should weigh about 3.11 grams. Do not clean the coin. Cleaning destroys value instantly. Even wiping it gently can leave microscopic scratches that professional graders will detect immediately. Leave the coin in its original state. If you believe you have a high grade or error example, consider submitting it to a reputable grading service. Third-party grading not only authenticates your coin but also protects it in a sealed holder, increasing buyer confidence if you decide to sell. Now let's talk about the market. Coin collecting has surged in popularity, especially among Americans aged 30 to 65 who are rediscovering coins inherited from parents and grandparents. With economic uncertainty, tangible assets like rare coins offer both excitement and investment potential. Auction records show that ordinary circulated 1973 pennies may sell for just a few cents. Uncirculated red examples can reach into the tens or even hundreds of dollars depending on grade. But the real headline numbers come from top population coins and dramatic mint errors. When a coin combines rarity, flawless preservation, and strong collector demand, bidding wars can erupt. Serious collectors compete aggressively for the finest known examples. Registry set collectors, in particular, are willing to pay substantial premiums to secure the highest graded coins for their collections. Imagine finding a 1973 no-mint mark penny in an old roll tucked away for decades. Imagine that coin grading at the very top of the scale, with blazing red luster and virtually no imperfections. That is where dreams turn into reality. Stories like these fuel the passion of collectors nationwide. People have discovered valuable coins in inherited collections, estate sales, and even spare change. The key is knowledge and persistence. Every coin you inspect increases your experience. Every detail you learn sharpens your eye. The 1973 no-mint mark Lincoln penny may seem common at first, but hidden within those billions of coins are condition rarities and mint errors that command serious attention. It represents opportunity, the chance that something small and overlooked could become something extraordinary. As you go through your coins tonight, take your time. Use proper lighting. Study each penny carefully. Separate the worn brown examples from the bright red ones. Pay close attention to detail. You are not just looking at spare change. You are searching for hidden value. Collectors across America are constantly seeking standout examples of this coin. Demand remains strong for premium quality pieces. The market rewards patience, knowledge, and careful preservation, and while most 1973 no-mint mark Lincoln pennies are modest in value, the finest known examples have reached astonishing heights at auction. In the highest recorded case, a spectacular specimen achieved a price of $76,732. Think about that for a moment. A coin originally worth 1 cent transforming into a sum that could change someone's financial outlook. That is the power of numismatics. That is why collectors never stop searching. We're talking about the 1975 no-mint mark Lincoln 1-cent penny from the United States of America, a coin that millions of people have handled, but very few have truly examined. This is not just another ordinary cent. This is a potential hidden treasure. The 1975 Lincoln penny features the iconic portrait of President Abraham Lincoln, first introduced in 1909 to honor his 100th birthday. The obverse was designed by Victor David Brenner, whose initials VDB appear subtly on the coin. On the reverse, you'll find the Lincoln Memorial, a design created by Frank Gasparo that was used from 1959 through 2008. In 1975, the United States Mint was producing billions of pennies to meet circulation demand. Most of the no-mint mark pennies were struck at the Philadelphia Mint. At that time, coins produced in Philadelphia did not carry a mint mark, which is why the absence of a mint mark is normal for many coins from that era. But here's where it gets exciting. While the majority of 1975 no-mint mark pennies are common and worth only face value, certain rare varieties and errors from that year have shocked collectors and auction houses alike. And the difference between a 1-cent coin and a high-value collectible often comes down to tiny details invisible to the untrained eye. So what should you be looking for? First, condition is everything. A 1975 penny that has never been circulated, meaning it has never been used in everyday transactions, can command significantly higher prices. Collectors refer to these as mint state coins. The higher the grade, the higher the potential value. Coins graded MS-65 or higher by professional grading services are particularly desirable. Second, and even more important, are mint errors. Mint errors occur during the coin production process. These are not damages that happen after the coin leaves the mint, they are mistakes made during striking. And collectors love mistakes. One of the most valuable types of errors is a double die error. This happens when the coin die receives multiple impressions from the hub at slightly different angles, causing a visible doubling effect on the lettering or design. On a 1975 penny, you'll want to closely inspect the words, "Liberty, in God we trust," and the date itself. If you see clear, strong doubling, not just machine doubling, but true hub doubling, you could be holding something extraordinary. Another valuable error type is an off-center strike. When a coin is not properly aligned during striking, part of the design may be missing, and the blank planchet may be visible. If the date is still fully visible and the off-center strike is dramatic, collectors are willing to pay significant premiums. Clipped planchets are another possibility. This happens when the metal sheet from which coins are punched overlaps improperly, creating a curved or straight clip missing from the edge. Authentic clipped planchets show a specific, Blakesley effect, a weakness in the rim directly opposite the clip. Then there are wrong planchet errors. While rare, a 1975 penny struck on a planchet intended for another denomination could be extremely valuable. For example, if struck on a dime planchet, the coin would appear smaller and lighter than normal. These dramatic mint errors often command thousands of dollars depending on condition and verification. Now let's talk about composition. In 1975, Lincoln cents were still composed primarily of 95% copper and 5% zinc. This was before the composition changed in 1982. Because of this high copper content, these pennies have intrinsic metal value and are heavier than modern cents. Each 1975 penny should weigh approximately 3.11 grams. Any significant deviation from this weight could indicate an error. For serious treasure hunters, a small digital scale can be an incredibly powerful tool, but beyond errors and composition, there's another factor that drives value: scarcity and high grade. Billions of 1975 pennies were produced. However, very few survive today in pristine condition. Most were heavily circulated, scratched, worn, and damaged over decades. Finding one with blazing red luster, no contact marks, and sharp details is far more difficult than people imagine. Collectors categorize copper pennies by color: brown, and red. Full red examples, especially in high mint state grades, are the most desirable. That fiery original mint color is what serious collectors compete for at auctions, and when collectors compete, prices can rise quickly. Imagine discovering a coin in your change that appears completely ordinary. You look closer. The surfaces are clean. The color is vibrant. The details are sharp. Then you notice slight doubling on the lettering. You send it to a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. Weeks later, the results come back confirming a rare double die in exceptional condition. That is the moment everything changes. The coin market is driven by supply and demand. While there are countless ordinary 1975 pennies, there are only a handful of elite examples with dramatic errors in top grades. Wealthy collectors, investors, and registry set competitors actively search for these coins to complete their collections, and they are willing to pay serious money. But here's the key: knowledge is your advantage. Most people never examine their coins carefully. They assume old equals valuable or common equals worthless. But in reality, value lives in the details. A tiny shift in a die. A slight misalignment. An overlooked doubling. These microscopic differences separate a 1-cent coin from a life-changing discovery. If you are serious about finding valuable coins, start with a magnifying glass of at least 10x magnification. Study the lettering. Compare your coin to verified examples online. Learn the difference between true double die and machine doubling. Educate yourself on grading standards. The more you learn, the sharper your eye becomes. Also remember that authentication matters. If you believe you found something special, never attempt to clean the coin. Cleaning destroys value instantly. Even gentle wiping can create hairline scratches visible under magnification. Leave the coin exactly as you found it and submit it to a reputable grading service for evaluation. Patience is part of the journey. Some collectors search rolls of pennies from banks. Others purchase unsearched collections at estate sales. Some simply examine every coin they receive in change. The thrill is in the hunt. And the reward, occasionally, is extraordinary. The 1975 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny represents opportunity. It represents the idea that wealth can be hidden in the most ordinary places. It reminds us that attention to detail can unlock doors that others never even see, and while not every 1975 penny will be rare, the possibility alone makes every search worthwhile. Think about it. Across the United States, millions of pennies sit untouched in jars and containers. Many people don't even bother spending them anymore. But inside one of those containers could be a pristine mint state example or a dramatic mint error waiting to be discovered. You don't need to be wealthy to start coin collecting. You don't need a vault or a fortune. All you need is curiosity, discipline, and a willingness to learn. History is literally in your hands. Every 1975 penny has traveled through decades of American life. It has passed through grocery stores, gas stations, lunch counters, and small businesses. It has witnessed inflation, economic shifts, and cultural change. And yet, despite its journey, it may still hold untapped value. For those who understand the market, coins are more than metal. They are assets. They are tangible pieces of history. And in some cases, they are stepping stones to financial growth. Now imagine discovering a rare 1975 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny with a significant mint error, preserved in stunning condition, authenticated and graded at the highest levels. Imagine placing that coin in an elite auction where competitive bidders recognize its rarity. At that level, a single cent can command a price that most people would never associate with pocket change, and if that moment comes, if you're careful, your patience, and your knowledge lead you to that rare discovery, the value realized could reach as high as $76,734. So before you ignore the next penny you see, pause. But what if one of those coins could quietly hold the power to transform your financial future? Today, we're diving deep into a fascinating piece of American coinage history, the 1979 mint Mark Lincoln 1-cent penny, and why collectors across the United States are paying serious money for the right example. The Lincoln Cent is one of the most iconic coins ever produced by the United States. First introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th birthday of President Abraham Lincoln, it became the first U.S. circulating coin to feature a real historical figure. The obverse portrait, originally designed by Victor David Brenner, has endured for generations. By 1979, the design still carried the dignified profile of Abraham Lincoln, along with the inscriptions, "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and the date that in 1979, the United States Mint was producing pennies in massive numbers. The Denver Mint, represented by the small d mint mark just below the date on the obverse, struck billions of Lincoln cents that year. At first glance, the 1979 D penny might seem extremely common, and in circulated condition, most are. But here is where the story becomes exciting. Rarity is not always about mintage alone. Condition, errors, and exceptional preservation can dramatically change a coin's destiny. The 1979 D Lincoln Cent was composed primarily of copper, as the major transition to zinc core cents would not occur until 1982. These copper coins have a weight of 3.11 grams and a composition of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc. That rich copper glow, especially when fully read and uncirculated, is one of the features collectors admire most. Over time, copper naturally tones, darkens, or spots. Finding a 1979 D penny with blazing original red luster decades later is far more difficult than most people realize. Now let's talk about condition, because condition is everything in the coin market. A penny that has traveled through pockets and cash registers for years may only be worth face value. But a coin that was saved immediately after minting, carefully preserved, and protected from oxidation can be in mint state condition. Professional grading services evaluate these coins under magnification, analyzing strike quality, luster, surface preservation, and eye appeal. Grades can range from MS60 up to MS70, with the highest numbers representing near-perfect coins. for the 1979 D penny, examples graded in average mint state may carry modest premiums. But when you reach the top population levels, coins with nearly flawless surfaces, sharp strike details in Lincoln's hair and beard, and radiant copper color, values can rise dramatically. Collectors compete fiercely for the finest known examples. In the world of numismatics, registry sets drive demand. Advanced collectors want the absolute best coin for each date and mint mark, and when only a handful meet those standards, bidding wars can erupt, but condition is only one part of the story. Error coins add another powerful layer of opportunity. During the minting process, mistakes can and do happen. These errors can include off-center strikes, double dies, repunched mint marks, die cracks, clipped planchets, and broad strikes. While most 1979 D pennies are normal strikes, rare documented error varieties exist, and these can command significant premiums depending on severity and visibility. Double die errors, for instance, occur when the working die receives multiple impressions from the hub that are slightly misaligned. This can create noticeable doubling in the lettering or date. Collectors carefully inspect the words, "Liberty," "In God We Trust," and the numerals of the date for signs of separation or doubling. A strong and clearly visible double die can transform an ordinary penny into a highly sought-after collectible. Another aspect that can elevate value is strike quality. Even though billions were minted, not all coins were struck with equal sharpness. Weak strikes may show flat details in Lincoln's hair or in the memorial building on the reverse. However, sharply struck examples with crisp architectural lines and defined steps on the memorial can stand out significantly in grading. The reverse of the 1979 D penny still featured the Lincoln Memorial design, introduced in 1959. This design, created by Frank Gasparo, includes a detailed rendering of the memorial in Washington, D.C., along with the inscriptions, United States of America, E pluribus unum, and 1 cent. Under magnification, collectors examine the columns, steps, and central statue detail. The stronger and more defined these features are, the more desirable the coin becomes. Now imagine this: somewhere in America, a roll of 1979 D pennies sits unopened in an old collection. Perhaps it was purchased directly from a bank in 1979 and stored away in a cool, dry place. Inside that roll could be coins with pristine red surfaces, untouched by circulation. If one of those coins grades at the very top of the population reports, it could attract intense competition among serious collectors. Auction records show us something important: the market rewards perfection. When a coin reaches the highest certified grade with exceptional eye appeal, collectors seeking registry dominance will pay extraordinary prices. That is the difference between a coin worth a cent and a coin worth thousands. But before anyone gets too excited, let's talk strategy. If you believe you have a high-grade 1979 D penny, the first step is careful examination. Use a magnifying glass or loupe with at least 5x to 10x magnification. Check for scratches, contact marks, discoloration, or spotting. Rotate the coin under light to evaluate luster. Does it have a full cartwheel effect? Are there any dull areas? Next, weigh the coin. It should weigh approximately 3.11 grams if it is the standard copper composition. Significant deviation could indicate damage or a wrong planchet error, which itself could be valuable. Also confirm the presence of the D mint mark below the date. Coins without a mint mark from 1979 were struck at the Philadelphia Mint, and while collectible, they are a different issue entirely. If your coin appears exceptional, consider professional grading. Third-party grading companies authenticate, encapsulate, and assign a grade, providing credibility in the marketplace. Buyers are far more confident bidding on certified coins because the condition has been independently verified. Remember, rarity and top condition is what drives true value. Most 1979 D pennies will remain common. But the finest examples, especially those with blazing red surfaces and virtually no contact marks, can enter a completely different financial category. The coin market is built on patience and knowledge. Many valuable coins were discovered in pocket change or inherited collections because someone took the time to look closely. The opportunity exists for those willing to search rolls, inspect old jars of pennies, or review family coin albums stored away for decades. think about how many people ignore pennies every single day. They pass through hands unnoticed, dropped into tip jars or left on counters. Yet within that ocean of copper coins, a select few may stand out due to preservation, strike quality, or minting anomalies. The 1979 VDB Lincoln 1-cent penny reminds us of an important principle: value is not always obvious at first glance. A coin struck during a year of high production can still become highly valuable if it survives in extraordinary condition. We're talking about the 1988 no-mint mark Lincoln 1-cent penny from the United States of America. A coin that looks ordinary at first glance. A coin that millions of Americans handled without a second thought. Yet under the right conditions, with the right characteristics, and in the right state of preservation, this humble cent can be worth serious money. The 1988 Lincoln Cent features the familiar portrait of President Abraham Lincoln, a design that traces its roots back to 1909. The obverse shows Lincoln's dignified profile, originally designed by Victor David Brenner. The reverse of the 1988 penny displays the Lincoln Memorial, the iconic Washington, D.C. monument that stood on the back of cents from 1959 through 2008. Now let's talk about the no-mint mark. In 1988, pennies were struck at multiple facilities, including Philadelphia and Denver. Coins struck at the Philadelphia Mint during that era typically carried no mint mark. So when you see a 1988 penny without a small letter under the date, it usually means it was minted in Philadelphia. But here's where things get interesting: while hundreds of millions of 1988 pennies were produced, not all 1988 no-mint mark cents are equal. Most are only worth face value. Some in circulated condition might bring a few cents. But when you begin examining high-grade uncirculated examples and rare mint errors, the story changes dramatically. Let's first understand the composition. The 1988 Lincoln Cent is made primarily of zinc with a thin copper plating. This composition was introduced in 1982 when the mint shifted away from mostly copper cents due to rising metal costs. Because of this change, many 1988 pennies can suffer from issues like plating bubbles, blisters, or corrosion over time. Collectors pay special attention to condition. A circulated 1988 penny that has scratches, dull surfaces, and worn details will not command a premium. But a coin graded mint state 65, mint state 66, or higher by professional grading services can see significantly stronger values. The difference between a pocket coin and a pristine example can mean the difference between 1 cent and hundreds, or more, but condition alone is not the only factor. There is a particular variety that has electrified collectors, the 1988 reverse of 1989 variety. This is where things get exciting. On certain 1988 pennies, the reverse design matches the style used in 1989. The difference is subtle but measurable. It involves the designer's initials and certain details in the Lincoln Memorial design. On the reverse of 1989, the initials, FG, for Frank Gasparo appear farther from the base of the memorial compared to the standard 1988 reverse. To the untrained eye, both coins look identical. But to a sharp collector with magnification, the spacing and positioning reveal a rare transitional variety. How did this happen? Transitional design varieties often occur when the mint updates dies for the following year but mistakenly pairs them with the previous year's obverse dies. These minting mismatches create collectible varieties that can become highly sought after. Because they were not intentionally released as special editions, their numbers can be limited and unpredictable. Finding a 1988 no-mint mark penny with the reverse of 1989 is like discovering a hidden treasure in plain sight. Now imagine finding one in pristine, uncirculated condition. Collectors are always searching for coins that combine rarity, strong eye appeal, sharp strike, and minimal surface marks. High-grade coins are graded by professional services such as PCGS and NGC. A single point difference in grade can dramatically impact value. Mint state 67 coins are far rarer than mint state 65. Mint state 68 examples are extremely scarce, and when scarcity meets demand, prices climb. Beyond transitional varieties, mint errors also drive value. Off-center strikes, double dies, clipped planchets, and dramatic die cracks can all elevate a coin's desirability. Double die errors in particular attract attention because they are visible and dramatic. Doubling in the date, lettering, or design elements can multiply value depending on severity and clarity. Serious collectors inspect every 1988 penny carefully under magnification. They look at the date. They study the mint mark area to confirm it is truly a no mint mark Philadelphia issue. They examine the reverse design to identify whether it matches the 1989 style. They check for doubling, strike quality, and overall luster. Why does luster matter? Original mint luster is the glowing cartwheel effect you see when rotating an uncirculated coin under light. It signals that the coin has never been significantly handled. Once that luster is broken by wear, the coin drops into circulated grades. That difference alone can reduce value dramatically. So what determines the highest market values? Rarity of the variety, condition, collector demand, and verified authentication by respected grading services. The coin market is driven by confidence. Buyers are willing to pay strong premiums when they trust the authenticity and grade. A certified high-grade example can be auctioned in major numismatic sales where competitive bidding pushes prices upward. Many people underestimate modern coins from the 1980s. They assume only old wheat pennies or early 20th century coins can be valuable. But modern rarities often surprise the market. When a modern coin has a recognized variety and survives in exceptional condition, the competition for the finest known examples can be fierce. Think about how many 1988 pennies were tossed into circulation, scraped against vending machines, dropped on sidewalks, and stored in jars. Now imagine how few survived untouched in superb condition for decades. The population of top-graded examples becomes incredibly small, and that is where opportunity lives. That if you are searching through rolls of pennies, inherited collections, or even old bank-wrapped rolls from the late 1980s, you could potentially uncover a valuable piece hiding in plain sight. The key is knowledge. Without knowing what to look for, a rare variety might slip through your fingers unnoticed. Examine the reverse carefully. Compare images of the standard 1988 reverse and the reverse of 1989. Study the positioning of the FG initials. Use magnification. Be patient. Treasure hunting in coin collecting rewards the disciplined. Also pay attention to strike sharpness. Strongly struck coins show crisp lines in Lincoln's hair and sharp details in the memorial columns. Weakly struck coins may appear flat. Superior strikes often command premiums in higher grades. Storage also matters. If you believe you have found a high-grade example, avoid touching the surfaces. Hold the coin by the edges. Store it in a protective holder. Never clean a coin. Cleaning can permanently damage surfaces and destroy value. Even light wiping can leave hairline scratches that grading services will penalize. Now let's talk about the excitement of auctions. When a rare 1988 no mint mark variety appears in top condition at auction, bidders compete aggressively. Registry set collectors want the finest examples available. Investors look for coins with proven sales records. Dealers watch population reports closely. When supply is tiny and demand is strong, price records can be set, and that is why the 1988 no mint mark Lincoln 1-cent penny commands attention far beyond its face value. For the average circulated example, you may only see a small premium. But for certified, high-grade, rare transitional varieties with strong eye appeal, values escalate dramatically. This is the difference between ordinary and extraordinary. Coin collecting is not just a hobby. For many, it becomes a pathway to financial opportunity. Knowledge transforms pocket change into potential profit. Discipline turns searching into strategy. Patience turns waiting into reward. So the next time you receive change at a store, pause before dismissing that penny. Look at the date. Look for the mint mark. Examine the reverse. Ask yourself whether you might be holding something others overlooked. History teaches us that treasures are often hidden in the most common places, and in the world of numismatics, even a 1-cent coin can rewrite financial expectations. The 1988 no mint mark Lincoln penny reminds us that value is not always obvious. It must be discovered, verified, and understood. Those who take the time to learn, inspect, and preserve can sometimes unlock remarkable returns. Imagine finding one of these rare transitional varieties in pristine condition. Imagine submitting it for grading. Imagine watching it cross the auction block as collectors compete. Imagine reaching into your pocket and pulling out a simple penny, a coin so common that most people barely glance at it. Now imagine that same penny being worth thousands of dollars to the right collector. Today, we're diving deep into one of the most overlooked modern coins in circulation, the 1991 no-mint mark Lincoln 1-cent penny from the United States of America, and why this small copper-plated coin could mean serious money for sharp-eyed collectors. The 1991 Lincoln Cent belongs to one of the most iconic coin series in American history, the Lincoln Cent series that began in 1909. The obverse design features the familiar portrait of President Abraham Lincoln, originally created by Victor David Brenner. This design has survived world wars, economic depressions, and massive cultural change. It is the longest-running coin design in United States history, produced continuously by the United States Mint since 1909. In 1991, millions upon millions of Lincoln cents were struck. Most people assume that because a coin is modern and widely produced, it must be worthless. That assumption is exactly why valuable coins often slip through unnoticed. Let's talk about what no mint mark actually means. On Lincoln cents, the mint mark appears just below the date on the obverse side. In 1991, pennies were produced at the Philadelphia Mint and the Denver Mint. Coins struck at Denver carry a small D mint mark. However, coins struck at the Philadelphia Mint traditionally carried no mint mark at all during that time period. So when we say 1991 no mint mark Lincoln cent, we are referring to a coin struck at the Philadelphia Mint. Now here's the critical detail: while the total mintage of 1991 Philadelphia pennies was extremely high, value does not come from mintage alone. It comes from condition, rarity within condition, and minting errors. The 1991 Lincoln cent is composed primarily of zinc with a thin copper plating. Since 1982, the United States Mint transitioned from solid copper to a zinc core due to rising metal costs. This means the 1991 penny weighs approximately 2.5 grams, not the heavier 3.11 grams of earlier copper cents. Collectors today are hunting for several specific features in 1991 no mint mark pennies: high-grade uncirculated condition, full original red luster, strong strike details, mint errors, die varieties. Let's break these down one by one. Condition is king in the coin market. Most 1991 pennies you find in circulation today will show heavy wear, scratches, dull color, flattened details, and discoloration. These coins are typically worth only face value. However, when a 1991 no mint mark penny is found in pristine, mint state condition, graded MS65, MS66, or even higher by professional grading services, the value increases dramatically. Why? Because while billions were produced, very few survive in perfect condition. Most coins enter circulation immediately and begin to wear down. True gem examples with blazing red surfaces are much harder to find than the mintage numbers suggest. Now let's talk about the real excitement: mint errors. Modern error coins can be extremely valuable because collectors love mistakes made during the minting process. Some of the most desirable errors found on 1991 Lincoln cents include off-center strikes, broad strikes, clipped planchets, double strikes, die cracks, cut errors, double die varieties. A double die error occurs when the die used to strike the coin has a misalignment during its creation, resulting in doubling on letters or numbers. On a 1991 penny, collectors carefully inspect the date and the word Liberty for signs of doubling. Another important error type is a dramatic off-center strike. If part of the design is missing because the coin was not properly aligned during striking, and if the date is still visible, the coin can command strong premiums. Even small die cracks can add collectible value. These appear as raised lines across the surface of the coin and are caused by fractures in the die. But here is something most casual collectors miss: ultra-high-grade examples of ordinary coins often outperform common error coins in value. Professional grading services such as PCGS and NGC assign numerical grades to coins based on preservation and strike quality. When a coin receives a top-tier grade such as MS67 red or higher, it becomes conditionally rare. That's where serious money enters the conversation. Many collectors assembling registry sets compete for the finest known examples. If only a small number of 1991 no mint mark pennies exist in top population reports, demand pushes prices upward. So how do you check your 1991 penny? First, examine the coin under strong lighting. Look for original red mint luster. A brilliant red coin is far more desirable than one that has turned brown. Second, inspect the surfaces closely for scratches or contact marks. Fewer marks equal higher grade potential. Third, weigh the coin. It should be approximately 2.5 grams. Any significant deviation could indicate an error or anomaly worth investigating. Fourth, inspect the date and lettering under magnification. Look carefully for doubling, especially on the numbers in 1991 and on Liberty. Fifth, check the edge. Lincoln cents should have a smooth edge. Any irregularities could signal an error. Now let's address value ranges realistically. Most circulated 1991 no-mint mark pennies are worth face value. 1 cent lightly circulated examples may bring a few cents to $1. Uncirculated red examples and lower mint state grades may range from a few dollars upward depending on eye appeal, but once you enter the realm of ultra-high grade coins, certified, top population, blazing red, nearly flawless surfaces, auction results can surprise even experienced collectors. There have been instances where modern Lincoln cents graded at the very top of the population scale have achieved impressive auction prices due to registry competition, and that brings us to the bigger picture. The true opportunity is not just in this single coin. It's in developing the skill to identify overlooked value in everyday change. Millions of Americans unknowingly spend collectible coins every day. The difference between someone who walks past opportunity and someone who builds wealth through coin collecting is education and action. That if you are between 30 and 65 years old and sitting on jars of old coins, inherited collections, or rolls of pennies saved decades ago, you could be holding hidden potential. The 1991 no-mint mark Lincoln cent represents a lesson. Modern coins are not automatically worthless. Condition rarity matters, population reports matter, certification matters, presentation matters, and timing matters. Coin markets move in cycles. When demand surges for registry-set competition, high-grade modern coins can spike in value. Imagine discovering that one of your saved coins is not just spare change but a certified top-tier example coveted by collectors nationwide. That possibility is what drives treasure hunters to examine every coin carefully. Before selling any potentially valuable coin, always consider professional grading. Raw coins can be undervalued if their condition is not properly recognized. Avoid cleaning your coins. Cleaning drastically reduces value. Original surfaces are critical. Store coins properly in non-PVC holders or certified slabs to preserve quality, and most importantly, be patient. Wealth in coin collecting rarely happens overnight. It happens through knowledge, discipline, and attention to detail. Now, while most 1991 no-mint mark Lincoln cents are common, the highest graded certified examples have achieved remarkable auction attention. That a top population, superb gem example of the 1991 no-mint mark Lincoln cent has reached auction records as high as $76,733. We're diving deep into the story, the potential, and the real market power behind the 1994 Lincoln cent with no-mint mark. And if you are someone between 30 and 65 years old, living in the United States, dreaming of turning overlooked coins into real money, this might be the opportunity you've been waiting for. Let's begin with the basics. The 1994 Lincoln 1-cent penny features the familiar portrait of President Abraham Lincoln, a design that has been part of American coinage since 1909. The obverse was designed by Victor David Brenner, whose initials VDB appear on the coin. On the reverse of the 1994 penny, you'll see the Lincoln Memorial, the classic design that was used from 1959 through 2008. Now here's something important. When we say, no mint mark, on a 1994 penny, we are referring to coins struck at the Philadelphia Mint. During 1994, the Philadelphia Mint did not place a mint mark on Lincoln cents. So technically, every standard 1994 penny from Philadelphia will have no mint mark. That means the coin itself is not rare simply because it lacks a mint mark. But here's where things get interesting. In 1994, the Philadelphia Mint produced over 6.5 billion Lincoln cents. That's billions, with a B. So in circulated condition, a 1994 no-mint mark penny is generally worth only face value. However, coin value is not just about mintage numbers. It's about condition. It's about preservation. It's about errors. And it's about what serious collectors are willing to pay for perfection. Let's talk about condition first. Most 1994 pennies you find in circulation will show wear, scratches, dull color, small nicks from years of use. These are common and not valuable. But when you find a 1994 no-mint mark Lincoln Cent in pristine, uncirculated condition, with full red luster, sharp details, and no visible damage, now you're entering a completely different level. Collector's grade coins using a scale from 1 to 70. A coin graded MS-65 is considered gem quality. MS-67 is superb. But when you reach MS-68 or higher, you are dealing with coins that are nearly flawless under magnification, and here's the reality: the higher the grade, the fewer coins exist in that condition. Out of billions minted, only a tiny fraction survive in ultra-high mint state grades. That's where demand begins to exceed supply. Now let's talk about errors, because this is where hidden wealth can truly appear. Mint errors occur during the production process. These are not damage from circulation. These are mistakes made at the mint itself. And collectors love authentic mint errors. For a 1994 no-mint mark Lincoln Cent, some of the most valuable possibilities include double die errors, where design elements appear slightly doubled due to misalignment during die creation. Off-center strikes, where the coin design is not properly centered, die cracks or die breaks, raised lines caused by cracked minting dies, clipped planchets, where a portion of the coin is missing due to improper metal blank cutting. Wrong planchet errors, when a coin is struck on a metal blank intended for a different denomination. Each of these errors can multiply the value of an otherwise common penny. But here's the critical part: condition plus error equals serious money. A minor error in circulated condition might be worth a modest premium. But a dramatic error in uncirculated condition? That's when auction prices start climbing. Now imagine this scenario: that a 1994 no-mint mark Lincoln Cent, preserved in exceptional mint state condition. Full red color. No spotting. No carbon stains. Razor-sharp details. Professionally graded and authenticated by a top-tier grading service. When coins like this appear in the marketplace, especially in grades of MS-68 or above, bidding wars can happen. Why? Because registry-set collectors compete aggressively for the finest known examples. They want the best. Not average. Not good. The best. And when population reports show only a handful exist at the highest grade, scarcity drives value. This is the psychology of the coin market: that it's not just metal. It's competition. It's prestige. It's rarity measured in surviving perfection. And that brings us to something extremely important for you as a potential seller: that if you believe you have a high-grade 1994 no-mint mark penny, do not clean it. Do not polish it. Do not attempt to improve its appearance. Cleaning destroys value instantly. Instead, handle it carefully by the edges and consider submitting it to a professional grading company. Authentication protects you. Certification builds buyer confidence. And confidence increases bidding strength. Now let's talk real market dynamics. Coin auctions are where extraordinary prices are realized. Heritage auctions, Stax Bowers, and major online auction platforms regularly feature modern Lincoln Cents in elite grades. When a coin is listed with strong eye appeal, low population, and high grade, collectors pay attention, and when two determined bidders want the same coin, price momentum builds. You see, wealth in coin collecting often hides in plain sight. It's not always about ancient gold coins. Sometimes it's about modern coins preserved with extraordinary care. Think about that. A coin minted in 1994, the year many people were starting new careers, raising families, building futures, could now be part of your financial opportunity. But you must train your eye. Look for bright original red surfaces, sharp Lincoln cheek and jaw detail, clean fields without heavy contact marks. Strong strike on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial. These small details separate a 1-cent coin from a potentially high-value collectible. And here's something motivational: millions of Americans search for side income. They look for investments. They chase complex opportunities, but some of the greatest returns come from knowledge, not luck. When you understand what to look for, you begin seeing coins differently. You stop seeing pennies. You start seeing assets. Imagine opening an old coin jar inherited from a relative. Imagine sorting through rolls from the bank. Imagine discovering that one coin in nearly flawless condition. Most people would never notice it, but you would, because you took the time to learn. Now let's address reality clearly and honestly. the average 1994 no-mint mark penny in circulated condition is worth 1 cent, but the highest grade certified examples, especially those at the top of population reports, can command astonishing premiums in the collector market. This is why grading matters. This is why preservation matters. And this is why awareness matters. You are not just searching for copper. You are searching for condition rarity, and in rare cases, in the most elite condition, the 1994 no-mint mark Lincoln 1-cent penny has reached auction levels that surprise even experienced collectors. That's the power of scarcity. That's the power of demand. That's the power of being informed. That if you are serious about turning coins into cash, here's what you should do next. Start checking every 1994 penny you encounter, separate the brightest, cleanest examples, store them safely in protective holders, compare them carefully under magnification, research recent certified auction results, and most importantly, think long-term. Coin collecting rewards patience. It rewards knowledge. And it rewards discipline. Many wealthy collectors today started small, with pocket change. But they studied. They learned grading standards. They understood the difference between common and exceptional. You can do the same. There is something powerful about holding history in your hand. Even modern history. Every coin passes through countless lives. And sometimes, one survives untouched enough to become special. The 1994 no-mint mark Lincoln Cent is not rare by mintage, but in the highest condition, it becomes a prize, and when the finest examples appear on the market, collectors compete aggressively. But for those who understand the hidden language of coins, even a modern date like 2002 can carry surprising potential. Today we are talking about the 2002 no-mint mark Lincoln 1-cent penny from the United States of America. A coin that looks ordinary at first glance, yet in the right condition, and with the right characteristics, it can become a small copper treasure. Let us begin with the basics. The 2002 Lincoln Cent features the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse. This iconic design was first introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. The design was created by Victor David Brenner, and it remains one of the most recognizable coin designs in American history. The reverse of the 2002 penny features the Lincoln Memorial, a design that was introduced in 1959 and continued until 2008. When we say no mint mark, many people get confused. Does that mean it is rare? Does that mean it is an error? The answer depends on understanding how the United States Mint operates. In 2002, pennies were struck at multiple facilities of the United States Mint. Coins struck in Philadelphia typically did not carry a mint mark. Coins struck in Denver carried a small d mint mark. Coins struck in San Francisco were usually proof coins and carried an S mint mark. So when you see a 2002 penny with no mint mark, that means it was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. Now here is where collectors must pay attention. Just because a coin has no mint mark does not automatically make it rare. In fact, the Philadelphia Mint produced billions of pennies in 2002. The mintage was extremely high, meaning that in circulated condition, most 2002 no mint mark pennies are only worth face value, but this is where opportunity begins. Condition is everything in coin collecting. A coin that has never been circulated, never touched by wear, and still carries its original mint luster can be dramatically more valuable than one that has passed through thousands of hands. The difference between a worn coin and a pristine example can mean the difference between 1 cent and hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Professional grading services like PCGS and NGC evaluate coins on a scale from 1 to 70. A grade of MS60 means mint state but with noticeable marks. A grade of MS65 means gem mint state. When you reach grades like MS67, MS68, or higher, you are entering elite territory. At that level, only a tiny fraction of coins survive in such flawless condition. For the 2002 no mint mark Lincoln Cent, most circulated examples are extremely common. But high-grade uncirculated examples are far scarcer than people realize. Coins that have been carefully preserved from the moment they left the mint, stored properly, and protected from environmental damage can command significant premiums. And then there are errors. Error coins are where the real excitement begins. Minting errors happen when something goes wrong during the production process. These errors can include off-center strikes, broad strikes, double dies, die cracks, clipped planchets, and more. While millions of normal coins are produced, genuine errors are far less common and highly sought after by collectors. One of the most valuable types of errors is the doubled die. This happens during the creation of the coin die itself. If the design is improperly impressed onto the die more than once at slightly different angles, the result can be visible doubling on the finished coins. Collectors look closely at the date, lettering, and Lincoln's features for signs of true double die characteristics. Another potential source of value in the 2002 penny is a dramatic off-center strike. When the blank planchet is not properly aligned during the strike, part of the design may be missing, and the coin may appear shifted. The more dramatic the misalignment, especially if the date is still visible, the more valuable the coin can become. There are also transitional errors to consider. Although 2002 pennies were struck using copper-plated zinc planchets, occasionally unusual compositions or wrong planchet strikes can occur. A penny struck on a planchet intended for another denomination can become an extraordinary rarity. Now let us talk about how you can identify whether your 2002 no mint mark penny has real potential. First, examine the coin under good lighting. Use a magnifying glass or a jeweler's loupe with at least 5x to 10x magnification. Look closely at the date 2002. Check the word Liberty. Examine the motto "In God We Trust." You are looking for crisp details, sharp edges, and any signs of doubling or unusual texture. Second, check the coin's surface. A coin in mint state condition should have full luster. When tilted under light, it should show a cartwheel effect, a rolling shine that moves across the surface. If the coin looks dull or has scratches and discoloration, it has likely been circulated. Third, weigh the coin. A standard 2002 penny should weigh approximately 2.5 grams because it is made of a zinc core with a thin copper plating. If the weight is significantly different, that could signal a wrong planchet error, though such finds are extremely rare. Fourth, protect your discovery. If you believe you have found a high-grade or error coin, do not clean it. Cleaning can destroy the surface and dramatically reduce its value. Instead, place it in a protective holder and consider submitting it to a professional grading service for authentication. Many people underestimate modern coins because they assume only old coins are valuable. But modern coins in top condition can be incredibly scarce. The reason is simple. Few people save them carefully. Most are thrown into circulation immediately, where they pick up nicks and scratches. Finding a flawless example years later becomes increasingly difficult. Imagine going through a simple roll of pennies from your bank. You might see dozens of 2002 no mint mark coins. Most will be worn. But if you find one that looks like it was struck yesterday, with blazing red luster and virtually no marks, you could be holding something far more valuable than face value. The key is patience. Coin collecting rewards those who pay attention to detail. It rewards those who look closer than everyone else. It rewards those who understand that rarity is not just about mintage numbers but about survival in top condition. Let us also talk about the color designation. Lincoln cents are often categorized as red, red-brown, or brown. A full red coin retains at least 95% of its original mint color. These are the most desirable to collectors, especially in higher grades. Over time, copper surfaces tone and darken. So finding a fully red 2002 penny in superb condition can significantly increase its market value. Auction records show that exceptional modern pennies in ultra-high grades can bring astonishing prices. When population reports show that only a handful of coins have achieved a certain grade, competitive collectors may bid aggressively to secure the finest known examples. This is where opportunity meets knowledge. You do not need to be a professional dealer to start searching. You do not need a massive investment. All you need is awareness and discipline. Start checking your change. Start searching through coin rolls. Visit local banks and request penny rolls. Look carefully at each coin. The 2002 no mint mark Lincoln 1-cent penny is a reminder that hidden value can exist in plain sight. While the vast majority are common, the rare combination of flawless preservation, strong eye appeal, and possibly an error can transform a simple coin into a collector's prize. For those who are serious about selling valuable coins, documentation is critical. If you believe you have found a premium example, submit it for grading. Once certified, you can explore selling through reputable auction houses, coin shows, or online platforms that cater to serious collectors. Remember, the market rewards quality. It rewards authenticity. It rewards rarity in condition and uniqueness in error. Think about this. Somewhere out there, in a forgotten jar of coins, in a piggy bank, or in a roll sitting in a bank vault, there could be a near-perfect 2002 no-mint mark penny waiting to be discovered. Most people will never notice it. They will spend it without a second thought. But you are different. You are watching. You are learning. You are paying attention. The journey to wealth in coin collecting does not always begin with gold or silver. Sometimes it begins with a single cent, and while most 2002 no-mint mark Lincoln pennies are worth exactly 1 cent in everyday condition, the rare elite examples and extraordinary mint state grades, especially with full red luster or significant mint errors, have achieved prices that shock those who never bother to look closely. We're diving deep into the United States of America 2006 D mint mark Lincoln 1 cent penny, a modern coin that most people think is common, ordinary, and worth only face value. But what if I told you that under the right conditions, with the right error or in the right grade, this humble copper-plated coin could be worth far more than you ever imagined? Let's uncover the truth. The 2006 Lincoln Cent continues the long-running design that began in 1959, featuring the iconic portrait of President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse. This portrait, designed by Victor David Brenner, has become one of the most recognized images in American coinage history. On the reverse of the 2006 penny, you'll find the familiar Lincoln Memorial design that was used from 1959 until 2008, just before the bicentennial redesign in 2009. The D mint mark under the date tells us this coin was struck at the Denver Mint. The United States Mint facility in Denver is known for producing billions of coins each year, and in 2006, the mintage of the 2006 D Lincoln Cent was massive, over 4 billion pieces struck for circulation. That's right. Billions. At first glance, that number alone might make you think this coin can't possibly be valuable. After all, how can something produced in the billions be rare? But here's where knowledge separates the average spender from the smart collector. While billions were minted, only a tiny fraction survive in pristine, flawless condition. And an even smaller number exist with significant minting errors. In coin collecting, rarity isn't always about how many were made. It's about how many survived in top condition or with dramatic, collectible errors. Let's talk about condition first. Most 2006 D pennies you'll find in circulation are heavily worn. They've passed through countless hands, vending machines, cash registers, and piggy banks. These are typically worth 1 cent. But when you find a 2006 D penny in uncirculated condition, meaning it shows no signs of wear and still retains its original mint luster, the value begins to climb. Collectors pay premiums for coins graded MS65, MS66, and above. In these higher mint state grades, the coin must have sharp details, strong luster, and minimal marks. At MS67 and beyond, we are talking about near perfection. And near perfection is rare, because even though billions were made, very few were carefully preserved from the moment they left the mint. Now let's take this one step further. The real excitement comes from mint errors. Error coins are where modern pennies like the 2006 D can suddenly become headline makers. These errors occur during the minting process and can include off-center strikes, double dies, die cracks, clipped planchets, and dramatic misalignments. A double die error, for example, occurs when the die used to strike the coin has a doubled image. This can create visible doubling in the lettering, date, or design elements. If strong enough and authenticated, such an error can multiply the value of a coin dramatically. Off-center strikes are another powerful category. If your 2006 D penny was struck significantly off-center, while still showing a full date and mint mark, collectors often compete for these pieces. The more dramatic and visually striking the error, the higher the demand. Then there are broad strikes, where the coin is struck without the retaining collar, causing it to spread wider than normal. Or coins struck on the wrong planchet. Though rare, these are among the most valuable types of mint mistakes. So how do you know if your 2006 D penny is special? Start by examining it under good lighting. Use a magnifying glass or coin loupe. Look closely at the date and the word Liberty. Check for doubling. Inspect the rim to see if it's evenly formed. Look at the overall centering of the design. Notice the luster. Does it still shine with a cartwheel effect when tilted? Condition and eye appeal matter more than most people realize. That if you believe you found something unusual, the next step is professional grading. Third-party grading services authenticate and assign a grade to your coin, sealing it in a protective holder. Once graded, the coin's value becomes more defined in the marketplace, and here's where things get truly interesting. High-grade modern coins are incredibly competitive. Registry set collectors, those striving to assemble the highest graded examples of each year and mint mark, often pay surprising amounts to secure top population coins. If only a handful of 2060 pennies exist in a top grade like MS68 or higher, demand can push prices far beyond what casual collectors expect. This is the hidden world of modern coin collecting. A world where attention to detail and patience can pay off. Now imagine this scenario: someone in 2006 received a roll of fresh Denver minted pennies from the bank. Instead of spending them, they stored them carefully for years. Nearly 2 decades later, one of those coins is submitted for grading and comes back as one of the finest known examples. That's when ordinary becomes extraordinary, and this is why I always say, never underestimate modern coins. The 2060 Lincoln Cent is made primarily of zinc with a thin copper plating. Since 1982, Lincoln Cents have used this composition, making them lighter than the earlier solid copper cents. While this composition itself doesn't add value, it means these coins are susceptible to plating bubbles and surface issues. Finding one in flawless condition is harder than it sounds. Every tiny mark counts at high grade levels. Collectors often search through bank rolls looking for the best possible examples. It's a treasure hunt that costs very little to start but can yield incredible results. All it takes is knowledge and a trained eye. Let's talk numbers, but realistically, most circulated 2060 pennies are worth face value. Uncirculated examples might bring a small premium, perhaps a few dollars depending on grade. But certified top population coins or dramatic mint errors can reach into hundreds or even thousands of dollars, and in rare, exceptional circumstances, where condition, rarity, and demand align perfectly, the market can surprise everyone. This is why coin collecting isn't just about metal. It's about scarcity, competition, and timing. That if you are between 30 and 65 years old, living in the United States, and you've ever wondered whether the coins sitting in jars, drawers, or inherited collections could change your financial future, the answer is this: they might, but only if you look, only if you learn, only if you act. The 2060 Lincoln Cent may not seem glamorous. It doesn't contain silver. It isn't ancient. It doesn't look rare at first glance. Yet the modern coin market has proven time and time again that collectors value the best of the best, no matter the year. And here's something powerful to remember: the Lincoln Cent series is one of the longest-running coin series in American history. That continuity creates deep collector loyalty. As long as there are Lincoln Cent collectors building sets, there will be demand for the finest examples of each date, including 2060. That opportunity doesn't always look dramatic. Sometimes, it looks like a penny. So here's what I want you to do after watching this video. Go check your change, look through your old coin jars, search bank rolls, pay attention to condition. Look for errors. Consider professional grading if you truly believe you found something exceptional, because someone out there is holding a coin worth far more than they realize, and it might be you. Remember, wealth doesn't always start with $1,000 bill. Sometimes it starts with a single cent. Combined with knowledge, the coin market rewards patience. It rewards education. It rewards people who take the time to understand what others ignore. The 2060 Lincoln 1-cent penny is a reminder that even in the modern era, even with billions minted, there are still hidden gems waiting to be discovered.